On the 10th of September 2024, Coffee Stain Studios released the biggest update yet into Satisfactory, Update 1.0. Fast forward 255 days and we're left asking, where is Update 1.1? Well, the update technically came out on experimental on the 1st of April this year, which is almost 2 months ago now. It's crazy where the time's gone. So why hasn't Update 1.1 released in the main game yet? Well, long story short, there's still quite a lot of bugs that the development team are trying to iron out, and I will talk about that in just a moment's time. But first, I also had another question that came to mind. Is it usual for the updates to be this spaced out? Well, I did my own research, and the conclusion that I came to was interesting. Let's have a look, and yes, by the way, I am sick. I do apologize for it, but the show must go on. Here's the data that I was able to collect, and I promise all of this will make sense, but let's just very quickly go through it. On the far left of the screen, we can see all the updates going back into Update 5, because we kind of get all the information that we need from these recent 6 updates. Next, we also have experimental, so when did the update come out on experimental? We then have a main game or early access, since bear in mind, before Update 1.0, all of this was early access releases. So we then have what day they came out on them. We then have the days in between experimental and early access, which again will make sense in just a moment. And lastly, the days since the last main update. This essentially means when did Update 1.0 officially come out in the main game, or when did Update 7 officially come out to early access, not including experimental. This will all make sense when we go through it. So starting with Update 1.1, it came out in experimental on the 1st of April 2025. Of course, it's not currently in the main game, so we can't really have any data for that. And the days in between the experimental and the early access or the main game so far is 52 days. We'll quickly say though, when we do get an official release date from the developers, Coffee Stain Studios, I will make it into a video so you don't have to go scouring Reddit, Discord and all that. I'll literally upload a video saying Update 1.1 release date, so if you guys are interested in that, then feel free to stick around the channel. Okay, shameless plug over. Now, the days since the last main update, which was Update 1.0, so far is 255 days. And again, this number's only going to increase. Moving on to the big one now, Update 1.0. And as far as what I remember, there wasn't a release date for experimental. It just sort of came out on the 10th of September 2024. The main game. This is the very first time the game's officially exited early access. And unfortunately, because we don't have any data for when the game came out to experimental, we can't really come to any conclusions here because, again, there wasn't a release date for experimental, so there can't be a gap in between experimental and the main game launch. What we do know, though, is that Update 8 came out 301 days before Update 1.0. 300 days in between those two major updates is a pretty big deal, and I will touch upon why in just a moment. Luckily now for Update 8, 7, 6, and 5, all this data here is fairly accurate. Update 8 came out on experimental on the 13th of June 2023. It then released in the main game or early access on the 14th of November 2023, meaning that there was an astonishing 154 days since the game went from experimental to the official early access game, which is about 5 months. Going from the day that Update 7 released to the Update 8, there was a 343-day difference. Again, that's quite a lot, but now let's try and rapid-fire Update 7, 6, and 5. So Update 7 came out on the 15th of November 2022, but it released in early access on the 6th of December 2022, meaning there was just a 21-day difference between experimental and the official early access launch. And in total, there was 87 days between Update 6 and Update 7 coming out. Speaking about Update 6, it released on experimental on the 14th of June 2022, then it launched on the early access branch on the 10th of September 2022, meaning that there was an 88-day difference between experimental and the official Update 6 coming out. And in total, there was a pretty big 294-day difference between Update 5 and Update 6. Lastly, Update 5 came out on the 26th of October 2021 on experimental, then the 20th of November 2021 for the main branch. So there was a 25-day difference there between experimental and the official early access launch. Because we didn't do the calculations for Update 4, we don't know the difference between when Update 4 came out and when Update 5 came out. It's fair to say that these release dates are extremely inconsistent, although there is one small pattern that we can notice. The official releases for these updates always seem to be towards the very end of the year, starting from around September at least to December, whereas the experimental branches are all over the place. Also, update 1.1 coming out on the 1st of April officially makes it the earliest release date of an update in experimental so far in Satisfactory's history, closest to that being in June, which is still a couple months away. So whereas update 1.1, unfortunately it's very difficult to tell because it's not like they released every single experimental branch on the 10th of April, then they released the main game on the 20th of August. There's very different results here depending on the update, but if I was to take a guess just looking at the results here, again, just a guess, I'm gonna say this is most likely gonna come out sometime maybe early September, or preferably before Coffee Stain Studios goes on their summer break, and I don't know when that is, but as we can see again by the results, I'm gonna guess that they take August off since nothing ever comes out in August, so it's most likely gonna come out either on June, which, fingers crossed, or September. But there is another reason as to why I can't really give an official date other than the release dates being a bit all over the shop, and that's because bugs. You can't really put like a time on bugs or a time limit on how they can fix bugs or when they can fix the bugs. The bugs get fixed when they're fixed. So if it's going to take them 2.5 months to fix the main bugs in the game, then fair enough. If it's going to take them 3 weeks to do it, first of all, they must be wizards, and second of all, great, the game will most likely come out after 3 weeks. But so far what we've seen with the release of update 1.1 is that there does seem to be quite a lot of bugs in the game that they are indeed trying to iron out, including some very big ones as well. One of the main ones being whenever you use a blueprint designer, sometimes your conveyor belt lifts, both input and output, sometimes doesn't work. So you might copy something across with the blueprint designer, but then all your production comes to a halt. Because I don't really know why, I'm not a game designer, but it doesn't seem to recognize that conveyor lift, which obviously is quite an important part of Satisfactory, both blueprints and conveyor lifts, so I'm guessing that they are trying to fix that before update 1.1 comes out, since, bear in mind, this is the experimental branch. I keep saying this even during my live streams, but the whole point of experimental is to experiment the update. Things will go wrong, almost every single time, but the point of it being is that we're supposed to say, okay, well, this isn't supposed to be like that, to then try and fix it. This isn't supposed to be like that, and that, and that, and that, and there'll be a whole list of bugs and other issues that they do want to try and squash, and also maybe even some quality of life stuff as well. Obviously, when 1.0 came out, I released a tutorial talking about the, not conveyor lifts, what's it called? The personnel elevators. I don't know why I said conveyor lifts. The personnel elevators, and one of my main critiques about it, despite loving them all in all, was that you couldn't nudge them. Now you can. So they are going over some quality of life stuff, they're listening to the community, and they're trying to add all these things that the community wants. That isn't like mage, like a whole new island or a whole new biome, whatever, because that's obviously ridiculous. But they are trying to add small things into the game to please the audience, which of course is a pretty incredible thing for them to be doing. So if that's going to take an extra couple weeks for them to add some quality of life stuff, honestly, I don't mind. So let's conclude the reasons as to why update 1.1 isn't out yet. Like I mentioned within the first few seconds of the video, bugs is probably the main one, trying to fix bugs. Also adding some quality of life stuff with the additions that they've already added in update 1.1, making sure that all works completely fine. And also just making sure that the community is happy with the updates. Let's say update 1.1 was terrible, which in my opinion it wasn't. I made a review video about it and I quite liked it. But let's say update 1.1 was the worst update they've ever added. They're gonna try and fix it before it comes out to the main game. Luckily, they don't need to do too much with it, because again, I think most people are rather content with it, so that's pretty cool. But there we go, those are the reasons as to why update 1.1 isn't out yet on the main game. But if you want, you can always play it on the experimental branch. Thank you very much for watching. Again, apologies for me being sick. It is what it is. It's probably worse for me than it is for you, but yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you for liking and subscribing. I'll see you guys on the next video. Goodbye.